Dang it. Now in the last episode, we showed you how to pull the cylinder heads off a Jaguar V-12. Since then, we've taken the engine entirely apart and we have had an opportunity to inspect things a little bit and move us a little bit closer toward the decision as to whether this engine is rebuildable or not. In the case of this block, there's a couple of things that we need to look at. First of all, these studs. Now these studs are very, very tough, they're very strong, but they can, particularly if the coolant hasn't been changed regularly, they can get corroded, particularly the ones that are in the middle here. Now a little bit of pitting is tolerable. I've got a set of those studs in my track car, run it for 10 years, not a problem. But these can actually get necked down to the point where their diameter is reduced 10% or even more. In that case, you got to replace them and they're available. So thus far, from what I've seen, although I may discover more information as I clean these things up a little bit more, my preliminary inspection of them shows that they're in reasonably good shape. Another important thing to consider is the shape of these holes right here. Now this is where the main bearings are held by these nuts that hold the cap on, and the crankshaft fits through here and spins inside of these bearings. This has to be round, and there's a specification for that. If they're oval shaped, then that crankshaft is going to be moving around too much, the clearance is going to be too great, oil pressure is going to be less than it should be, and what you need to do is torque these to their specification and then measure this way and this way. If an engine has been abused, this can get pretty severe, particularly toward the back of the engine, right back here. Now, in an engine that I took apart recently, this hole was actually 5/1000ths of an inch out of round. It was 5/1000ths of an inch bigger this way than it was this way. And when that happens, what you've got to do is you've got to have a little bit planed off the bottom of each one of the caps, and then a long hone is run through here in order to get those holes back in specification. And that's going to cost you between $500 and $1,000 depending on the shop you go to. So then you need to consider whether you're going to actually do that or you're going to go find another block, which could have the same problem, but it's not likely. Another check that you need to make is the condition of the jack shaft bearings. There's one here at the front of the block in the V, and there's two more back here. Distributor fits down in here, and there's a couple of gears, one in the jack shaft and one in the distributor that drives the distributor. So two functions to the jack shaft. Number one, the timing chain comes down, goes around it, and comes back up and goes to the other head, and it drives the distributor. Now these are kind of tough to find. At least they were the last time I actually needed to replace these. So if they're good, if the play between the jack shaft and these are good, leave them alone. Don't mess with them. You take your block in to be cleaned, make sure they don't pull these things out because you're going to need them. Over here, we have the internals of the engine. The pistons and the cylinder liners are kind of an issue here. These are what the pistons run up and down in. These fit in the block in bosses that are machined into it. And these are a little bit too much out of round and a little bit too much tapered to be used as is. And that's pretty much the case with all of them, at least on my preliminary sampling of these things. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take these and have them honed 10/1000ths oversized. I've got a special fixture that I've developed for that purpose. The pistons, these are really tough to get. You can get E-type pistons all day long, but HEs, you're going to have them made. And being that these are tapered about 5/1000ths of an inch top to bottom, these things aren't going to work. Connecting rods are fine. An engine that I took apart not that long ago, all of the main bearing caps or the main bearing holes were oval shaped, and so are the connecting rods. So you need to check them. It's just rare that these holes, or the big end holes, are going to be oval shaped. And they can be fixed, but also you can find another engine. The bearings, connecting rod bearings, almost all of them are in reasonably good shape. The main bearings, however, are not. You can see that right here. There's copper showing. And what that is the heat conductive layer that pulls heat away. And in this particular bearing right here, you can see the various layers that have to be worn away until you get down to the copper. So these are going in the trash. The thrust washers, thrust bearings, those are fine. They almost always are. And then we got the ubiquitous broken timing chain tensioner, which is why this thing was making noise when it was running. It's right here. We got a harmonic dampener that fits on the front of the crankshaft, and as you can see, we got some cracks in the rubber. You can see it right there, and on the back side in particular, there's a number of cracks. So we're going to have to send that out to be reconditioned, but we got a couple, 3 other ones that need to be done too, so good timing. The crankshaft is good news. This end of the crankshaft is susceptible to pitting. Water, salt water, gets in between the harmonic dampener, which is out here, and the crankshaft itself, and you can get rust and pitting, and you can get chatter marks if the bolt is loosened up, if it wasn't tightened properly when it was serviced at some point. These keyways right here can also be opened up if that dampener loosens up. So this end of the crankshaft, which is a pretty important check to make, is good. The rest of the crankshaft is in good condition, except for the fact that it's right at the edge of its service limits. And with a rebuild that we're doing here, which is basically bringing an engine back to new condition, we're going to have to take this crankshaft and have these journals ground 10 thousandths undersize. We got the bearings for it, and it'll be like new. Now the thing is, when you have these crankshafts ground, these crankshafts are nitrided, which means that they're put in a pressure vessel with a nitrogen atmosphere, and it's heated up, and the nitrogen reacts with the material of the crankshaft, and it provides a really, really hard shell throughout the entire crankshaft. You grind these journals, you interrupt that. So what you've got to do, and this has been a problem with these crankshafts that were done by dealers early on in the day, if you don't harden this, they'll crack. In fact, they can break. So it must be done. So be sure that the guy that you're having do your crankshaft reconditioning has that available to you. And if he says, nah, that's no big deal, well, have him take a look at the length of this thing. Yeah, it's a big deal. Now, if you look on this shelving unit here, everything on this side, this all came in boxes with the exception of a few things that we pulled off. It's going to make it a little more difficult for us to reassemble it. I've never worked on a Morelli car before, so this is going to be kind of an adventure. That's the bad news. It's going to make it more difficult. It's going to take more time. The good news is this is off of a 90 XJS convertible, and we have a 90 XJS convertible sitting about 50 yards away from here. So not only do we have the vacuum line diagrams and the wiring diagrams, but we've also got a car that we can look at to make sure that these things are actually running the way they would be on the original car. So let's come on out and take a look at this stuff. Well, you recognize these. These are the cylinder heads that we pulled off. This was the one you watched me do, which was difficult enough. This one was really hard. The one that you saw me do was really tight halfway, from the halfway point on forward. This one was tight all the way down. In fact, I was almost considering making a additional puller like I have in the front of the head for the back of the head as well. But eventually got it off. Now the heads themselves, if we look closely here, we can see, as I predicted, that we've got some corrosion and some pitting here. It's not a deal breaker. There are some spots, however, right here that I'm a little concerned about, and we're going to have the welder fill that area in and that area there, because you can see that not only has it undercut the fire ring a little bit, but the wall of this corrosion is almost vertical. So we're going to have him weld up these little spots on both heads, and going to have him constrain the head while he's doing it. So I don't look for this to be a problem. And what we've done so far is kind of a preliminary cleanup, despite the fact that there's oil all over it now. But what we're going to be doing is clean the block, the heads, the cam boxes, and then take them in to the people I normally use to clean my stuff and have them do the final touches on this. And prior to taking them in, I'll be cleaning all the gaskets out of it and getting all the heavy grease and gunk off of it with a pressure washer, and try to make their job as easy as possible. Now if we look over here, we can see the camshafts. I was a little bit concerned with some of these lobes that showed a bit of scoring on them. This one here on this camshaft, these two right here. But it didn't show up on the tappets, so I'm not real concerned about that. The guides are on the limit of what I would accept to just reuse. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing the guides or resurfacing the guides with bronze inserts. And then over here we got the cam boxes. And the cam boxes both look great, and everything that goes in them, the caps and everything, look great. You can see that there's no scratches on here that would indicate low oil pressure at any point. So at this point, what we got to do is we got to make a decision. Is this project a go on this particular engine, or do we go looking for a good core that'll work with that car? Now I really can't make a final decision on the block yet until I measure the main bearing diameters, but as it stands right now, I'm giving it a thumbs up.